What's going on, everyone? So earlier today, we got Pat Riley that just came out and essentially point blank said, hey, we're not trading Jimmy Butler, right? All of this noise, usually we don't buy into the speculation. Usually we don't play into all of the hype and stuff because that just kind of runs rampant. But we're here to let you know we're not trading Jimmy Butler. And that could pose a problem for the Lakers. Now, how, Tyler? Why does Jimmy Butler matter? That Lakers aren't trading for Jimmy Butler anyway. Yes, agree. But here's the thing. You had several teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors, the Houston Rockets, right? The Sacramento Kings. Like, all of these teams have been linked, how true or untrue they are, but regardless, have all been linked, the Phoenix Suns have all been linked to Jimmy Butler and a potential Jimmy Butler trade. Well, if Jimmy Butler is off the market, guess where all these teams are going to focus their attention on? Guys like Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, Cam Johnson, right? These other kind of two-way wings that the Lakers desperately need. The Lakers really need two-way wing depth, right? They need some legit 3-and-D guys. And you kind of had these other teams distracted and fighting over Jimmy Butler and really Cam Johnson, right? I've even said like Cam Johnson I think is probably unrealistic to get. As soon as you hear the Thunder linked to anybody, just assume that's it on the guy because they have so many assets. They could throw, like, let's say the Lakers are like, hey, we'll give you all our firsts, all our pick swaps, and Austin Reeves for, Cam Johnson, which would be a crazy overpay. The Thunder could still come in and just be like, okay, we'll give you all of that and then some and still have the most assets in the league. Like, the Thunder are, like, go spend an hour and just look through, and I don't mean an hour like looking and reading it all. I'm just saying scrolling through their encyclopedia of assets that they have available for trade. They have like multiple firsts, like every draft coming up. It's crazy. So that's the problem, is you're going to have a lot of these teams now go pivot to other guys, right? Like a team like the Warriors, who have the assets, have the youth, have the players, right? Now, they probably pivot. If, let's say, the Thunder do really want to go get a Cam Johnson. Well, they can go and grab Cam Johnson. Well, then guess what the Warriors are probably looking at now? Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, those other guys. Or a Dorian Finney-Smith or something like that. Maybe they get multiple. And now it becomes less and less likely that the Lakers are able to get these 3-and-D wins. Now, the Lakers could focus on other things. Did a video on Nikola Vucevic, who is available and could be had for multiple seconds. So maybe instead of like, as much as I want a 3-and-D guy, do you maybe go make the move for that like impactful center and then maybe shift LeBron to the 3, which I'm not really big on, I'm not really sold on, but if LeBron is willing to buy into it, I think you really got to get at least a point of attack guard, right? Like a Bruce Brown, even like a Malcolm Brogdon, although I worry about his injury issues. But you really need like a sizable two-way guard that you can slot alongside Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and like a Nikola Vucevic, which I don't hate the idea, especially if all these other wings are just going to be targeted, right? Like, right now the Lakers have been in the thick of everything. Have been in the mix of all these potential trades because all these other teams are focused on other things. I've talked about before. I've talked about, it's like when a store puts all the high-end stuff in the front of the store and everyone's like, oh, look at this. And all the shiny toys are in the front. And I've talked about the Lakers should just be sneaking through the back and getting where all the real value stuff is. Be coming in and scooping up all the stuff that really has the value. Let everyone go, ooh, at the stuff in the front. While you're grabbing all the stuff in the back, going to the register, cashing out, and then, calling it a day. And then let everyone else fumble on top of each other. Well, now, if those shiny toys are all now moved to the back and the value stuff is in the front, now everyone's like, ooh, well, what about this? Like, no one's distracted anymore by, like, the shiny toy. And that's where my concern lies, right? Like, how many of these teams are willing to kind of really push their chips in, right? The Warriors, they're in a worse spot than we are. And they have Steph, and they need to work out Steph. And there might not be any stars on the market. Do they go take a flyer on like a Brandon Ingram? Do they take a flyer on like a Zach LaVine? Or do they look and go, hey, you know what? Let's just go get, a Cam Johnson and a, Dorian Finney-Smith. Well, there's two wings that we really could have used that are off the market. Even Cam Johnson. Okay, fine. Cam Johnson, like I said, is probably a long shot here, but Dorian Finney-Smith, I don't believe is. Right? So it would have been nice to go get a Dorian Finney-Smith. Imagine you get a Vucevic, you go get a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Cody Martin, and Bruce Brown or something like that. Or like a Colin Sexton or something like that, right? Some athleticism at the guard position. Right? Well, the problem is that like all these other teams are trying to go get those same guys. All the attention shifts. Everybody's looking this way while you're sneaking over here, and then that ends up going inside, and so everyone's like, okay, well, what else? Oh, hey, whoa, wait on timeout. I don't want him to take that. I want that, right? Now somebody else comes. No, I want that too, right? Like, and it's just now the Lakers are at this bidding war, and they just don't have the assets and pieces to get into bidding wars, right? Like, their most valuable asset outside of like Austin Reeves is probably D'Angelo Russell, not because of the player, but just because of the expiring contract. He's an $18.6 million expiring contract. The new CBA has completely changed everything, and teams badly want, expiring contracts. You look at a team like Chicago, there's been talks that, hey, we would trade Zach LaVine for Michael Porter Jr., but we don't want any long-term salary. We don't want it and so it's just you see teams that are desperate to get off of guys. They don't even want any long-term salary unless it's like a guy that they just really want and believe in, right? So even like in a Nikola Vucevic trade, does Chicago want an expiring contract, right? So now you're taking like D'Lo and like a Jalen Hood-Schifino, or would they maybe take a Maxwell Lewis because he's cheap? So you go like a D'Lo and like a Maxwell Lewis to go get a Nikola Vucevic, right? Clear a roster spot, bring in a center, right? And then go focus on the guard, right? So, again, everyone's shifts focus, right? So, at first it was Jimmy Butler, and now Jimmy Butler's gone, right? So, it's like, okay, well, what about Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, all these guys? Maybe the Lakers come in and they go, let's go get a Nikola Vucevic. Boom. Right, let's go get, a Bruce Brown. Boom. All right, okay, now we got the point guard, we got the center, we've cleared off like 2 roster spots. Oh, let's bring in whatever. Let's bring in a Dennis Smith Jr. as like our backup guard for point of attack defense purposes, right? Let's go. If we can kind of wait and kind of see what's left over, maybe we can get a Dorian Finney-Smith, or like I said, a Cody Martin or something like that. And you kind of maybe go grab one of those guys and bring one of those guys in, right? Do you kind of, if you're the Lakers, do you now shift your focus in a different direction, right? Because everyone's going to be trying to go, like, what's the next best thing next to Jimmy Butler? Probably Cam Johnson. I mean, really, it's probably Brandon Ingram, but Brandon Ingram, with how much money he wants, the injury history, stuff like that, I think the next best option would be a Cam Johnson. So everyone's focused on Cam. Would you be able to kind of swoop in and steal a Kyle Kuzma or a Dorian Finney-Smith or something like that? Can you maybe get one of those guys while everyone's distracted with the new shiny toy? Or is the kind of focus on everyone kind of equally, right? Everyone's just like, it's not just all Cam Johnson. It's like Kuz and Johnson and this and that, right? Like, you've had multiple teams linked to multiple players, but it's still like there has been a clear media driving force of like Jimmy Butler to, these handful of teams, right? And now those handful of teams don't want it. I mean, there's already reports that the Warriors are favorites to land Cam Johnson. Right? So it's like, okay, well, if they get Cam Johnson, okay, well, now all these other Sacramento's, the Thunder, these teams, they're all going to shift focus on who's the next best guy. Okay, is that Kyle Kuzma? Is that Jeremy Grant? Is that just like a Dorian Finney-Smith? Is it like, what is that? So now they go and shift to Kyle Kuzma. So now Kyle Kuzma's gone. Now, Cam Johnson's gone. Now one of these other teams grab a Dorian Finney-Smith. Now all these guys are gone, and the Lakers are sitting there holding a bag with nothing to show for it, right? So that's why I kind of lean towards like maybe the Lakers should kind of shift their attention to like I said, a Nikola Vucevic, maybe like a Bruce Brown, something like that. Kind of, again, it's all about, right? Like as a GM, you got to be able to pivot. You got to have multiple plans in place. You have to have multiple ideas. You're constantly racking your brain on this and that and the other, right? You need to be able, like a good GM can shift, can pivot, right? Like great example was Rob Pelinka the year that we won the championship. We were supposed to get Kawhi Leonard. We were waiting patiently for Kawhi. Kawhi was supposed to come. We're like, man, like where is he at? And the next thing you know, the news dropped that he ends up going to the Clippers with Paul George, and it was like, now what do we do? And then immediately you saw, Danny Green, all these guys run, all these guys start signing up with the Lakers, and Rob had to pivot. And he was able to pivot enough to build a championship contender. So it's kind of the same thing, right? Like these guys that the Lakers really wanted to try to obtain and get might not be on the market much longer. Lakers might need to pivot to go do those things, to go get those guys, to go get those assets. So if you're the Lakers, you kind of just look at like, you know what? Hey, let's just make a move for Vucevic. Let's just make a move for this guy, that guy, or the other. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. As always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Do you agree with my points? Disagree with my points? Do you think that like hey, look, nothing's really changed? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it out of the way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.